Hey guys, I just want to run across a couple things real quick, and I'm going to talk about the BFLs. And before I go any further about the BFLs, I want to say that it's a fine organization. Yeah, obviously, it's run by Major League Fishing, and they do a lot for the grassroots fishermen. And when they say that we are bass fishing, they're not kidding. And that's coming from a guy who is a diehard Bass Angler Sportsman Society guy. Me, I love bass. I love Bassmasters. But I feel like that they've really forgotten about the average fisherman, the grassroots fishermen, the ones that built that organization up. So let me get back to the BFL issue. I started out in the BFLs as a co-angler, and I fished that for a couple years. And I linked with a guy. And then I switched over to the boater side. I linked with a guy. Now here's my problem. Here's one of the problems that I'm going to go through with the BFLs. And the first one is the linking system. The linking system is designed, as we all know, to guarantee the boater and the co-angler a spot in the tournament, as long as you link by or before the deadline date. And that's great. But there's a problem with the linking system, and this is the problem. And it happened to me, almost happened to me. My linking guy, we signed up for the tournaments, and he let me know 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament that he wasn't going to be able to make the tournament because the tournament fell on a date that a member of his family was getting married, and he had to go to the wedding. So, under the BFL rules, if my co-angler drops out of the tournament, which he did, that puts me, my guaranteed slot, non-existent. That meant that I went to the very end of the line and had to wait for a position to open up unless I could find another person to link with before the deadline date. And I got fortunate, and that's what it was for me. I found someone who was willing to link, and I linked with this guy, so I got to fish it. Otherwise, I would have went to the end of the line and would have had to wait to see if I was going to be able to fish that tournament or not. So, me personally, I feel like MLF needs to do away with the linking system, period, and just go to a first come, first served basis. If you're a boater and you're in, and a co-angler comes in and registers, boom, you're automatically got a spot reserved. Period. You're not linked, you got a spot reserved. Period. Because that's just my way to fix that. The second thing that happens is, in a lot of MLF tournaments, the BFLs, you have more boaters show up or register than you do co-anglers at sometimes. And sometimes it's the co-anglers that register more than boaters. But in this instance, here's why I think that really irks me and a lot of other Major League Fishing guys, BFL guys, is if I register for a tournament and there's more, and I've linked with a guy, and my guy falls out of the system, doesn't fish, that puts me at a precarious position, which means there's more boaters than there are co-anglers. On the day of the tournament, I'm going to have to be linked up with or partnered with another boater, which is what they call the boat-on-boat system, which means that either I will have to leave my boat on the trailer at the lot, or he will have to leave his boat on the trailer at the lot. He gets half control of the boat half the day, I get control of the boat half the day, and we just determine who's going to get what half of the day when we talk, and whose boat's going to be used when we talk. Now, I don't have the most expensive boat in the world, but this boat-on-boat draw is crazy. It's absolutely stupid. It hinders the boater, period. Let me give you a case in point. A few years ago at the super tournament, I'm sorry, not the super tournament, the wild card on Fort Loudon, they had more boaters than they did co-anglers. And so the guy who ended up who would have really won that tournament, he ended up second because the first day of the tournament he had a boat on boat draw and he only got a half a day to fish and he couldn't get to the fish that he found. So and he stood there on the stage and said that he'd have won it if it wasn't for that. Now here's what I did, and I talked with Boyd Duckett at a tournament, and I voiced my displeasure with this system. And I told him, I said, what's the point in having this linking and stuff and the boat on boat deal? I said, just do away with it. He said, well, the problem with that is how do you verify and keep people from cheating? And he said that he's asked his tournament directors about it, and they feel like they need to keep it the way it is. I said, the tournament directors are influential, yes. I said, but who's the people who are fishing this tournament? It's the fishermen. I said, what you do is you take it to the anglers and you put it to a vote and let the anglers decide what it is. If we got a say in the system, then give us a say in the system. So do away with the boat on boat rule. And here's the last thing that I think is going to end up being a huge problem with the BFLs. You got the advent of forward-facing sonar, live scope, mega live, or whatever you want to call it, and you got these guys on the nose of the boat. I don't have forward-facing sonar, but you got these guys on the nose of the boat that are going to be video gaming stuff, and the guy in the back of the boat can't do nothing. A buddy of mine fished qualified for the regional last 2 years ago on Hartwell, did good the first day of the tournament because he drew a guy that didn't have forward-facing sonar, and they both did pretty good. But he drew a guy the second day of the tournament who had forward-facing sonar, who would pull up to a spot, video game these things, make 2 or 3 casts, and be ready to go. And he didn't catch fish, and he said he didn't get to hardly make a cast at all during the tournament. So I feel like, to level the playing field, just do away with forward-facing sonar. That's controversial, I know, but I think it's going to end up hurting Major League Fishing and BFLs later on down the road. So now those are just my 2 cents worth, and you can leave your comments if you want to. Just go from there. So anyway, that's just what I got to say about it. Nothing personal against these people. I just think these are some observations that they need to address, and they need to fix them. So God bless you. We'll see you out on the water. Take care of yourselves.